This is CJ with GOAT Sports Talk, and we got some breaking news. The Houston Rockets have acquired Chris Paul in a blockbuster sign and trade, according to ESPN reports. I'm kind of shocked by this, in part because of the fact that looking at the age of Chris Paul, I just don't know exactly how he's going to fare in the next few years, considering how young James Harden is. James Harden is so young that you could literally have a player that you could build with that should build with him really for the next 5 years, and he still would be in his prime. I mean, that's how young he is, and it's so, to me, it's like, why get a player that's older? Now, granted, Chris Paul still plays very good basketball. I mean, he doesn't even look like he slowed down at all. So, I mean, everybody knows Chris Paul is very serious about the game. He takes care of his body. He eats right. He's a consummate professional. I mean, he's easily probably like the best pure point guard since like Isaiah. Like, he is literally a player you just don't see often. I mean, a true two-way player. In fact, he was all defensive team, first team as well. I mean, we're talking about a guy who can get at the ball, get man-to-man on a point guard. As long as that point guard is not like towering over him, he can pretty much defend him pretty well, especially in a team defensive setting. He plays the passing lanes very well. So defensively, they do lose some with Patrick Beverley, because part of this trade, in fact, I'm going to just go briefly over what they're getting. It says here that the Rockets will send Sam Dekker, Patrick Beverley, and Lou Williams, and a top 3 protected first-round pick. The trading of Chris Paul means that Blake Griffin more than likely is gone. I can't see how Blake Griffin would stay, and he's not going to get a sign and trade either. So I don't know what they're planning on doing. Are they just planning on locking up Blake Griffin and probably keeping DeAndre Jordan there, and then have these young players, which, listen, these guys are not bad. Sam Dekker, he didn't get that much playing time, but he's actually pretty decent. If anybody watched the tournament a couple of years ago, when he was playing for Wisconsin, he was probably their best player, or one of their best players, and he played very well. He could shoot the ball. He's pretty, tall, and he's athletic. He's not bad. He's definitely a guy that can be on any NBA roster, and he's going to see, some type of playing time. He's not the kind of talent that's going to be tucked into any NBA bench, regardless of team he would be on. Now, as far as Patrick Beverley, easily probably the best man-to-man defender in the league as far as when it comes to guard play. I mean, he's a straight-up beast. I've seen him for years. His defensive ability is amazing, and he's a good offensive player. He can handle the ball well. He's a knockdown shooting three-point shooter, especially when he's wide open. He is a guy that you want on your team. On a championship team, he is a guy that you definitely want on your team, and he's a very good player. And the Rockets knew that they were just not going to be able to extend him. They were not going to be able to afford to keep him when his contract was up. So they might as well just get rid of him now and get something for him. Lou Williams, very good for the Rockets, even though he came late last year for the Rockets from Atlanta. I really thought that he was a player they should keep on the team. But then again, they do have, Gordon. They do have Ariza. They do have some other players that can still do a little bit of what he does. And I believe that, Gordon will have even a better year this year, because he's going to be way more comfortable in the system. This is one of his first years that he actually played the whole year without having an injury. So that's going to allow him to work on his game, not have to worry about rehabbing. He can get stronger, and he can come back next year and really fulfill his role as being like one of their, primary scorers. Of course, everybody knows he was one of the candidates, I believe, for Sixth Man of the Year. So he's a very good player as well. Now, going on to the pick, they have a top 3 protective pick in the also in the first round. So pretty much if it's a top 3 pick, the Rockets get to keep it. And in the 2018, which, that's nothing, because they expect that the Rockets are going to be a playoff team anyway. So that pick will still go to the Clippers unless something catastrophic happens with the Rockets where they end up being a lottery team and they end up getting a top 3 pick. So, and then when you factor in, this is all just for one player, Chris Paul. He does fit very well in the system. Everybody worries about 2 players that need the ball a lot between Chris Paul and James Harden. I don't think people understand that Chris Paul is gonna need to handle the ball less, but I think what's gonna happen is James Harden is not gonna have the ball handling duties as much. And this is something that I used to talk to people all the time when it came to the Rockets. They used to get on James Harden for turning over the ball, but I was like, he's the only guy that can handle the ball consistently. Now they eliminate that. Now their numbers for turnovers are going to decrease, which means they're going to have more offensive opportunities, and they're, of course, one of the highest scoring teams in the league. The three ball is going to be critical. See, with Chris Paul being able to hit the three ball very well, this is going to be great for him because now he can really just shoot the three whenever he's open. He could dig in there. He is a guy that has a very good mid-range game, one of the best ever in the league. His mid-range game off the dribble is outstanding. But in this offense, they really don't want you to shoot those mid-range jumpers. So it's going to be interesting to see how he changes up his habits when he gets to the Rockets. But this does give them another all-star player. It looks like the Rockets are trying to put as much in. I believe the Rockets feel that they can probably compete for a Western Conference in the next year or so. And I think this gives them something to be able to look forward to. If somehow, some way, they can lure Blake Griffin to come to the Rockets as well and have him and Chris Paul. Everybody says the relationship is bad. I don't know how true that is, but I've said it before. When you go back into one of our last presentations concerning, the whole issue with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin opting out, I said that that Blake Griffin would be an amazing fit for the Rockets. So if they were to put both of them on this team, watch out. Rockets would definitely be one of the contenders to win the Western Conference, especially with some of the things that's happening with free agency being uncertain amongst some of the free agents of Golden State. So that's pretty much it. Wrapping up, man. This is getting crazy. Man, oh man.